Everyone remembers the first time they logged into World of Warcraft, whether it was making a dwarf hunter and getting lost in the snowy mountains of Dunmorrow, fighting kobolds in Elwyn Forest, or picking cactus apples in Durotar. It was the start of a brand new journey, a fresh start filled with wonders of where you'd go, who you'd meet, and what you would accomplish. Everything was new, interesting, and unexplored, and you probably never realized back then that you'd never really be able to recapture that feeling ever again. Now, I'm not just talking about classic WoW here, but kind of just World of Warcraft in general, whether you started in Burning Crusade, Pandaria, or Legion. Everyone has some memories of when the world wasn't completely figured out to them. Years ago, I made a video called Noob vs. Pro in World of Warcraft, making fun of the contrasting perspectives of new players compared to seasoned veterans. After rewatching it recently, it made me realize that we never really can go back to that time. Even when we went back to vanilla WoW, people had figured the game out. The best ways to quest, the best ways to make gold. It's all been solved. But when I first started playing the game in January of 2005, I remember when I wanted my professions to be cooking and fishing. And now looking back, I can laugh because I'm like, I had no idea what secondary or primary professions even were. And I'd learned the difference. And that difference was one piece of the puzzle towards essentially solving the game. And once you have enough of those puzzle pieces, that's when things can start to become dull and boring. I remember getting to Razor Hill for the first time and thinking that was Orgrimmar, only to discover actual Orgrimmar soon after and being blown away. You still have the mystery, and the mystery is one of the things that keeps you intrigued and coming back. Now, I know everything about Orgrimmar. Now you know what's in every zone, you know what the best professions are, the best spec or the best class. Everything's figured out, and when everything's figured out, it no longer has that sense of mystery and wonder. Honestly, the closest I think we can get to that feeling is whenever new content is released. Even things like Shadowlands, that I found to be one of my least favorite expansions that I've ever played towards the end, was still fun for the first couple weeks or even the first month, and that's because we didn't know what to expect. Numerous aspects of the game were new and fresh again. The zones, the talent trees, so many things were new, and we had hope, and we had this sense of wonder and this sense of adventure going out and exploring. It allows you to get that bit of feeling you got when you first started playing again, trying to explore and discover new ways to play the game you hadn't experienced before. And you can even tie this into real life. Kids run around all the time using their imagination, trying to make sense of the world. Like, look over there, it's a cardboard box. That's my race car. They like go in the race car, and then the adults are like, hey, get out of that cardboard box. What are you doing? That's not a race car. Because they've went through life. Their brains are more developed. They're like, hey, quit doing that, right? And I mean, you can tie that into World of Warcraft. There might be a player that's new that's like, yo, I want to go explore a house in the middle of nowhere. And you're like, there's nothing in that house. Don't go over there. It's not worth it. Or the new player might be like, yo, I want to go take the Zeppelin to Stranglethorn and see what's in the dangerous jungle. And they're like, you're too low a level for that. I'll give you a different leveling route. It's more ideal. Or maybe that leveling guide could be Zygor. That's right. Check it out for free. Link in the description. Or use Crendor for 20% off an elite subscription. Wow, what a plug. Or maybe a new player wants to go a certain route in their talent tree, and you're like, don't do that. Here's the most meta build you can go. It's the best for optimal performance. Just use this one. And they're like, oh, okay, but I really wanted to try this other one. And you're like, no, don't do that. And sure, some people might enjoy playing the most optimal way, but I'd argue that most people want to at least learn the optimal way their own way for themselves, because people love exploring and problem solving and learning. And when you open the book to the back and see the answers every single time, you're going to lose something along the way, and you've already got everything figured out, and then it becomes, why even play? Because you've figured it all out, so you just go play something else. And once you start figuring out all the answers and experiencing all there is to experience, that's it. You've put the puzzle together, and now it just becomes an ever-growing nostalgic memory. And that can be applied to real life as well. There's numerous times I've tried to recreate nostalgic memories in real life, but you can't, because people change, places change, the world changes, and you change. And I've seen a lot of people make videos about missing the old World of Warcraft, or missing when World of Warcraft was different or just a game, and I can understand that from a gameplay perspective, because the games are two completely different versions, and I like both of the versions. You know, some people don't like one or the other, and that's fine, but I think one thing people do really miss that's a big component of this is that sense of mystery, that sense of wonder. Because when I go back to this old video I made of being a noob versus being a pro, some of my most commented or upvoted comments on the video are people being like, oh, I remember being level 20 and going out here and exploring. I remember being level 8 in Mulgore and being like, oh, I'm going to die to a plane strider, and just so many things that you look back on and think, oh, that's dumb to think. But when you're in the moment, you're like, this is so cool. I'm exploring this brand new world. And it's one of the reasons I love making pointless top 10s. I get to go back into the world that I've loved exploring for 20 years and find things as if I'm exploring it for the first time that I never noticed or realized. And I do think there are some ways to get the sense of wonder back, even as an experienced player. And you might not get the full sense of wonder and mystery, but maybe you've never done pet battling. You're like, pet battling's stupid, I never want to do it. But you know what? Maybe you give it a shot. And you're like, all right, I'll go do it. And you try it and you're like, this is actually pretty fun. And then you go around and you start exploring and you realize that this is something you've never done before and you're having a great time doing it. Or maybe in classic WoW, you're like, you know what? I've never leveled a Tauren. I'm going to go level a Tauren and I'm going to go down a path that I've never gone before. And you start noticing things you've never noticed before. And all of a sudden you're like, this is really fun. And it feels like I'm playing the game for the first time again. And sure, you're not going to have that same insane sense of wonder of like, where am I that you had when you initially started playing the game, but you're going to get at least some of it. And so with a new WoW expansion right around the corner, I'm going to take my time exploring the new zones. I'm going to go to areas I normally wouldn't. I'm going to try to notice the things that other people are skipping over. I'm going to try to go with the talents that I want to go with instead of looking up a build because, listen, I'm probably going to be last on the DPS anyway, no matter what. And I'm going to appreciate every moment of it because I know how rare it is to have that feeling of mystery and wonder again, and how rare it is to start fresh in a world that I've already grown to know inside and out. And I know one day I'm going to look back and wish I could be in the very moment and mindset that I'm currently experiencing, whether it ends up being an expansion that I enjoy or hate. But most of all, I'm going to try and go back, even if I really can't. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want, you go check out the Noob vs. Pro machinima that made me create this video, or you can go check out Pointless Top 10 Things You Never Noticed in WoW. There's definitely some things on there that you have never noticed. You can also comment down below some of your experiences you had when you were a new player. Also, consider supporting the channel on patreon.com/crendor or by becoming a channel member. Okay? Okay. See ya.